Peter Parker stood at the edge of the George Washington Bridge, the city's heartbeat echoing in the distance. The memory of Gwen Stacy's fall haunted him, a perpetual shadow over his soul.
I couldn't save you, Gwen.
He whispered to the wind, the weight of his failure pressing down like the gray clouds overhead. Inside the mansion, Jean Grey paced through the halls, her mind drifting back to the moment she became the Phoenix. The universe was safe, but the cost was heavy.
I became something else, something beyond control,
she murmured, feeling the echoes of her immense power still lingering within her. She longed for solace, but the burden of her sacrifice was a constant companion. Captain America, or Steve Rogers as those closest to him knew him, walked the streets of Brooklyn, his mind a battlefield of memories. Bucky Barnes, his friend, his brother in arms, was gone, yet not gone.
I should have saved you, Bucky,
he said to the empty street, fighting the guilt that gnawed at him since that fateful day during the war. The past was a specter that refused to be laid to rest. The Avengers Tower loomed against the sky as the Hulk stood on its rooftop, a giant in a world that often felt too small. He remembered the missile, the fall, the end that wasn't the end. His life, a cycle of destruction and rebirth.
I did what I had to do.
He rumbled to himself, a quiet acceptance in his voice.
For once, it felt like enough.
In the remnants of Asgard, the memory of Thor lingered like a whisper among gods. His death in the Ragnarok was a turning point, a promise of renewal. The fallen god had paved the way for a new dawn, a new era of heroes and legends. The Asgardian ruins were silent now, but his legacy was eternal. In an abandoned warehouse, the paths of Peter Parker, Jean Grey, and Captain America converged. The air was thick with unresolved grief, a shared understanding of loss that tied them together.
We've all lost something,
Captain America began, his voice steady.
but we carry on.
Jean added, her eyes meeting Peter's.
Because we must.
Peter concluded, a resolve forming in the silence that followed. Together they stood amidst their memories, their sacrifices binding them in a silent vow to protect what they still had. And in that moment, they faced their demons, not as individuals, but as a united force against the shadows of their pasts.